So, if you asked me what the single most underrated health habit is, my answer would be very simple. Walking. Just walking. Every day. And I know that might sound a little underwhelming in a world where health has become so complicated. We live in a time of expensive gym memberships, supplements stacks, fat-burning routines, metabolic hacks, cold plunges, step trackers, and all sorts of things that promise to optimize your body. But when you actually look at the research and when you look at real people over time, one thing becomes very clear. The human body is built to move, and walking is one of the most powerful, most natural, and most overlooked forms of movement we have. Now, I'm not saying walking is some magical cure for everything, it isn't. But I am saying that if there is one daily habit that touches almost every major system in your body, it's this one. Your heart, your blood pressure, your blood sugar, your joints, your brain, your sleep, your mood, your metabolism, your energy, and ultimately how well you age. Walking affects all of it. And the reason most people underestimate it is because it looks too simple to be powerful. We assume that if something is truly effective, it has to be extreme, difficult, or expensive. But biology doesn't really care how exciting something looks. Biology responds to consistency, and walking, done consistently, changes far more than most people realize. I'm Dr. Amelia Stone, and one thing I've seen again and again in medicine is that there is a huge difference between people who keep moving as they get older and people who slowly stop. It shows up everywhere. It shows up in how well they cope with illness. It shows up in how quickly they recover. It shows up in how stable they are on their feet, how strong they remain, how well their metabolism functions, and how independent they stay. Two people can be the exact same age on paper, but biologically, they can be living in very different bodies. And a lot of that difference comes down to movement. What's interesting is that this isn't just something you see in a hospital or a clinic. You feel it in everyday life. When people start walking regularly, they often notice changes long before they see anything dramatic in the mirror. Their baseline energy improves. They feel less stiff. Their mood becomes steadier. Their sleep gets better. Their appetite becomes more predictable. They stop feeling quite so heavy, not just physically but mentally too. And that matters because the best health habit is not the one that sounds the most impressive. It's the one that improves your body in ways you can actually sustain. So in this script, I want to walk you through what really happens when you walk every single day. Not just that you burn a few calories. Not just that you get your steps in. I mean, what is actually happening inside your body? We're going to talk about your heart, your blood pressure, your blood sugar, your metabolism, your joints, your muscles, your brain, your sleep, and your long-term longevity. And at the end, I'll give you a practical framework for how to actually make daily walking part of your life. Because knowing something is good for you is not the same thing as actually doing it. The first major thing that happens when you walk every day is that your cardiovascular health starts to improve. In simple terms, that means your heart and blood vessels begin functioning more efficiently. And this is one of the strongest areas of evidence we have when it comes to lifestyle medicine. Regular walking, especially at a brisk pace, improves circulation, supports healthier blood vessels, and reduces many of the silent risk factors that slowly build toward heart disease. And heart disease, of course, is still one of the biggest killers in the modern world. The problem is that most cardiovascular damage builds quietly. You don't feel your arteries getting stiffer. You don't feel inflammation accumulating in your vessels. You don't feel the gradual strain placed on the heart by years of inactivity, but that damage happens anyway. And daily walking works against it in a surprisingly broad way. It improves endothelial function, which is the health of the inner lining of your blood vessels. It helps keep those vessels more flexible. It improves circulation. It helps regulate resting heart rate. And over time, it reduces the overall burden on the cardiovascular system. That's one of the reasons walking has such a strong relationship with lower rates of heart attacks, strokes, and cardiovascular death. It isn't one dramatic effect, it's many smaller effects stacking together. Better blood flow, better vessel function, less inflammation, lower blood pressure, better blood sugar control. All of those things matter. And when they move in the right direction consistently, the long-term outcome can be significant. The second thing that improves when you walk every day is your blood pressure. High blood pressure is one of the most common and dangerous conditions because it often causes damage for years without obvious symptoms. Many people feel completely fine while their blood pressure is quietly damaging arteries, increasing strain on the heart, and raising the risk of strokes, kidney disease, and heart failure. That's why it's often called a silent problem. Daily walking helps because it gives your circulatory system regular practice at doing what it's supposed to do. Your blood vessels become more responsive. Your circulation improves. Your nervous system tends to become less chronically overstimulated. Over time, that can mean a lower resting blood pressure. Now, this doesn't always happen overnight, and of course, some people will still need medication, but walking can make a meaningful difference. Even relatively modest reductions in blood pressure have major effects when you stretch them over years and decades. And this is where people often make a mistake. They think if something doesn't create a dramatic before and after moment, it doesn't really matter. But medicine doesn't work like social media. A small reduction in blood pressure maintained every day for years is a very big deal. It means less wear and tear on the arteries, less strain on the heart, less risk to the kidneys, less chance of an event that changes your life permanently. The third thing that happens when you walk every day is that your body becomes better at handling blood sugar. This is one of the most important metabolic effects of walking, and it matters whether or not you have diabetes. Every time you eat, your blood sugar rises. That's normal. But when you are sedentary, insulin-resistant, or metabolically unhealthy, that rise can be larger and longer than it should be. And over time, that pattern contributes to fatigue, cravings, weight gain, inflammation, and higher risk of type 2 diabetes. Walking helps because active muscles use glucose. When your legs are moving, your muscles pull sugar out of the bloodstream and use it for energy. That means your body has a much better chance of dealing with the glucose from a meal instead of letting it spike high and stay there. This is why even a short walk after eating can be incredibly powerful. 10 or 15 minutes after lunch or dinner may not look impressive, but physiologically it can be doing a lot. This matters even more than most people think because blood sugar instability doesn't just affect diabetes risk. It affects energy, it affects hunger, it affects mental clarity, it affects mood. When people say they crash in the afternoon, or they feel foggy after meals, or they constantly crave sugar, blood sugar swings are often part of the story. Walking gives your body a simple and effective way to smooth some of that out. The fourth thing that happens when you walk every day is that your metabolism becomes more active and more stable. Now, I want to be careful here because people hear the word metabolism and immediately think only about weight loss. But metabolism is broader than that. It's about how your body uses energy, how well it regulates fuel, how efficiently it responds to food, and how active your body remains throughout the day. The reason walking is so useful here is not because it is the most intense form of exercise. It's useful because it is repeatable. It adds movement to your day without exhausting you. It raises your total energy expenditure. It reduces the damage of long periods of sitting. And because it's manageable, it's something people can often do consistently for months and years rather than days. That matters much more than people realize. A lot of people will do one hard workout, feel virtuous for an hour, and then sit for the rest of the day. But the body responds to overall movement patterns, not just isolated bursts of effort. Daily walking improves what some people call your movement baseline. You simply become less sedentary, and when that happens, your body handles energy differently. You burn more over the course of the day. Your appetite often becomes less chaotic. You may feel less sluggish, and for many people, fat loss becomes more sustainable, because walking supports the system without draining it. The fifth thing that improves is your joint health. And this is where there is a lot of confusion, because many people assume that if their knees or hips feel stiff, the answer is to move less. In some specific cases, rest is appropriate, but in general, joints are designed to move. The cartilage in your joints does not have a direct blood supply in the same way many other tissues do. It depends on movement to help circulate the fluid that nourishes it. When you stop moving, joints often become stiffer, less supported, and less functional over time. Walking helps maintain joint mobility. It helps lubricate the joints through movement. It helps reduce stiffness, and just as importantly, it strengthens the muscles around those joints. Your knees, for example, do not exist in isolation. They rely on support from your quads, glutes, calves, and hips. When those muscles are weak, the joints often take more strain. When those muscles become stronger and more active, the joints are better protected. This is why so many people notice that after an initial adjustment period, walking regularly actually makes them feel looser rather than worse. They get out of bed with less stiffness, their hips feel less tight, their knees feel less unpredictable. Again, not because walking is magical, but because movement is nourishment for the musculoskeletal system. The sixth thing that happens when you walk every day is that you preserve muscle and function better as you age. Now, walking is not the same as lifting weights. If your goal is to build serious muscle mass, then resistance training matters. But walking still plays a major role in maintaining the body you already have. It keeps the lower body working. It maintains coordination, it preserves balance, and it slows the slide into physical frailty that happens so easily when people become inactive. As people get older, they naturally lose muscle mass and strength. This process, often called sarcopenia, is one of the reasons older adults become more vulnerable to falls, fractures, and loss of independence. Walking helps because it keeps the body using the legs, the hips, the core, and the stabilizing muscles every single day. It reinforces the brain-to-muscle connection. It keeps posture more active. It reduces the extent to which the body forgets how to move efficiently. That might sound dramatic, but it's true. Movement is a skill as much as it is a physical act. If you stop practicing it, you lose it. And daily walking is one of the simplest ways to keep practicing the basic human skill of moving through the world under your own power. The seventh thing that improves is your brain and your mood. And honestly, this is where walking often surprises people the most. Because the effects are not just physical, they are psychological, emotional, and neurological too. Walking helps regulate stress. It can reduce symptoms of anxiety. It often improves mood. It supports better concentration. And many people find that they think more clearly when they walk than when they sit still and try to force clarity. Part of this is chemical. Walking can increase the release of endorphins and other natural compounds associated with improved mood. It can help lower stress hormones over time. It improves blood flow to the brain, and it may support factors involved in brain health and neuroplasticity. But part of it is also experiential. Walking interrupts the static, compressed state that modern life often creates. When you are sitting for hours, staring at screens, trapped in the same thoughts, your nervous system tends to tighten around that state. Walking breaks the loop. This is why a problem that feels overwhelming indoors can sometimes feel manageable after 20 minutes outside. It's why people often say their mind feels clearer, lighter, or calmer after a walk. It's why walking is often one of the first habits recommended for low mood or chronic stress. Not because it solves everything, but because it changes the internal environment in which everything else is happening. And if you walk outdoors, especially in daylight, those effects can become even stronger. Fresh air, light exposure, rhythm, and movement all work together. But even indoor walking is better than none. The point is not perfection. The point is that your brain benefits when your body moves. The eighth thing that happens when you walk every day is that your sleep often improves. Poor sleep affects almost every system in the body. It disrupts hunger hormones. It worsens insulin resistance. It increases irritability. It reduces willpower. It raises stress. It affects blood pressure. It makes pain harder to tolerate. In other words, if your sleep is poor, many parts of your health become harder to manage. Walking helps sleep in a few different ways. First, it creates a healthy physical demand on the body, which can increase sleep drive later in the day. Second, if you walk outside, especially in the morning, it helps anchor your circadian rhythm. Your body clock depends on cues, and light plus movement is one of the strongest daytime signals you can give it. That can help you feel more awake at the right time and more sleepy at the right time later on. For many people, this becomes a very important missing piece. They try to fix sleep at night while ignoring what the body needs during the day. But sleep is not just about what you do before bed. It is heavily influenced by how you live from the moment you wake up. A body that gets daylight movement and a clearer daily rhythm tends to sleep better than a body that remains understimulated, indoors, and sedentary all day. The ninth thing that improves is digestion and appetite regulation. This doesn't get talked about enough, but it matters in real life. Walking after meals can help reduce that heavy, sluggish feeling some people get. It can support digestion, it can reduce bloating for some people, and over time, regular walking may help your appetite become less erratic. A lot of people live in a cycle where stress, poor sleep, inactivity, and blood sugar swings all feed into cravings. They feel hungry when they are really tired, or they want sugar because their energy has crashed, or they eat for stimulation because their body feels flat and undermoved. Walking can help interrupt that cycle. It may not erase cravings completely, but it often reduces their intensity. People frequently notice that they feel a bit more in control around food when they walk regularly. Their hunger becomes more predictable, their energy becomes steadier, and that has a huge knock-on effect on day-to-day health choices. The 10th and perhaps biggest thing that happens when you walk every day is that all of these benefits combine into something larger. You age better. Not just that you live longer, though that matters too. I mean that you preserve function for longer. You stay capable for longer. You remain independent for longer. You extend your health span, not just your lifespan. That distinction is really important. Most people don't just want more years, they want better years. Years where they can think clearly, walk confidently, climb stairs, travel, carry things, recover from illness, and live without being trapped by frailty. Daily walking is not the only thing that determines that outcome, of course, but it is one of the clearest and most reliable contributors, and that's the part so many people miss. Walking is not powerful because it gives you a dramatic result in 1 week. It's powerful because it quietly changes the direction of your health over time. It reduces risk, it improves reserve, it strengthens systems that would otherwise decline more quickly. It makes the body more resilient, and resilience is incredibly valuable, especially as life gets harder, busier, and more physically inactive. Now the challenge is that hearing all of this does not automatically make anyone walk. That's where implementation matters. So if you wanted to actually use this information, here is how I would approach it. First, figure out your baseline. Before you set some huge target, just find out how much you currently walk. Your phone may already track this, a watch might track it, or you can simply estimate your daily movement honestly. The point is to start where you really are, not where you think you should be. Second, make the starting goal extremely easy. If you are barely walking now, do not jump straight to a huge step count. Start with one extra walk per day. even if it is only 10 or 15 minutes. That may sound too small, but that is exactly why it works. Habits stick when friction is low. You are not trying to prove how motivated you are for 3 days. You are trying to build something you can still do 2 months from now. Third, use timing strategically. If blood sugar, digestion, or afternoon crashes are issues for you, try walking after meals. Even a short walk after lunch or dinner can be helpful. If sleep or mood is a bigger issue, a morning walk outside may be particularly useful, but ultimately, the best time to walk is the time you can repeat consistently. Ideal timing matters less than actual adherence. Fourth, find a sustainable pace. Not every walk needs to be intense, but for general health, a brisk pace is often ideal. You want to be moving fast enough that you feel slightly challenged, but not so hard that you dread it. A simple rule is this: talking should still be possible, but singing would probably be difficult. That is a very practical middle ground. Fifth, stop aiming for perfection and start aiming for continuity. One very long walk once a week is not the same as regular daily movement. The body likes rhythm. It likes repetition. It likes signals it can trust. So instead of setting a heroic target, set a minimum. Maybe your rule is that every day includes at least 15 minutes of walking, no matter what. On better days, you can do more, but keep the habit alive. Sixth, make the environment work for you. Put your shoes where you can see them. Pick a route in advance. Attach the walk to something you already do, like coffee in the morning, lunch in the afternoon, or a phone call in the evening. If it helps, walk with someone. If it helps, save a favorite podcast just for walks. The easier you make the routine, the more likely it is to last. And finally, remember what you are really doing. You are not just burning calories. You are not just chasing a number on a watch. You are teaching your body to remain capable. You are lowering risk in quiet ways that matter. You are investing in future energy, future mobility, future independence, and future resilience. So if you've been wondering whether walking every day can really make that much of a difference, the answer is yes. Maybe not overnight, maybe not in a flashy way, but deeply, broadly, and consistently, yes. Your heart notices, your blood vessels notice, your blood sugar notices, your brain notices, your joints notice, your sleep notices, and eventually your future self notices too. Sometimes the most powerful health advice is not the most exciting. It is the advice that keeps showing up because it works. Walking is one of those things. It is simple, it is accessible, it is sustainable, and for many people, it is one of the closest things we have to a daily whole body upgrade. So don't wait for the perfect plan. Don't wait for a new week, a new month, or a burst of motivation. Start with a short walk, then do it again tomorrow, then again the day after that. Because very often, better health does not begin with one extreme decision. It begins with one simple action repeated often enough that it changes who you are.